ever. Then we got caught.
We did. Hello and welcome. My name is Brenda Reese. I am a relationship mentor and forgiveness coach, and I'm with my friend Kim. And we are really actually happy to receive lots of questions from listeners through our social media channels on what you want to know more about. And I am very grateful for that. And today, what's come through is a lot about relationships with our bodies. And that is something, okay, women, come on. We know, right? We know this is a love-hate relationship that we've always had based on, what we've grown up with, how we feel ourselves, society, everything comes into this whole relationship with our bodies. So today, Kim, you have some questions that are going to be provided, and we're going to have a discussion about it. And I'm actually really excited to get some information out there and open this conversation more to the listeners and to just people in general. We need more conversations, don't you think?
I think so. I mean, especially us as women, right? I'm not making this a women woman thing. However, you know, uh, talking about women's bodies seems to be, everybody's favorite thing to do, and maybe not always in the healthiest manner. And so, I know we talked earlier a little bit about some of my health and weight loss journey. And so, it definitely, it's interesting to kind of think about that forgiveness part when it comes, we always say, oh, I've forgiven myself, or I'm forgiving my actions, or I'm forgiving my behavior. But, that little voice in me sometimes, and it came in through the questions as well about, how do I forgive my body when I feel like it's betrayed me, whether it's through, obesity, whether it's through an illness, whether it's through, just not being able to do the things that we wanted it to do. And I feel like it's a really interesting conversation for us to have as, as women together, because I feel like we're really the only ones who should be able to be talking about our bodies since they're ours. But it's also really important, right? I have noticed in my health journey specifically that I'm kind of at this place where the fun part's over, right? I'm not experiencing the massive changes anymore. I'm not experiencing. And so there's a part of me that looks at my body and goes, "Oof, like, how is this really it?" And why did you take me here, and how did we get here? And so maybe, I know that was a very broad range of information about healing that relationship with our bodies, but specifically, I feel like maybe we can talk about how we begin to forgive our bodies for what we feel like might have been a betrayal.
Yeah, thank you for that, because I think this is really important, and it's a journey that I have been on myself. And so when it comes to our bodies, I've had this mix of relationship with my body throughout my whole life. Okay. And so most of us have this negative. We've learned, like, a lot of people will share that they were put on diets and stuff when they were younger because of their mother. And so they've never learned. No one ever learns how to love the body. And I especially when when it's not doing what we think it should be doing. So this is the other piece that I find
Right.
super valuable that I've had to practice. And that is, I've had to practice the fact of my body is a vessel, right? Because we've heard different messages, right? You're not your body, and all that. Well, wait a second. Yes, I am. It is a part of me. This is what I've chosen to be in this life. If we look at this fact, and if we subscribe to the information out there about, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience,
Right.
that means this vessel is something I chose,
That's right.
right? So my body is actually just doing its thing. My body is just surviving. It's not out to get me. It's not betraying me. Now this is hard, right? Because the mind, I want to think differently, because I want someone to blame
Right.
when it's not going the way I want. And because I too have felt that my body betrayed me, especially going through menopause. Perimenopause into menopause, I felt, because my body changed, my skin changed, that things were drooping in places that shouldn't be droopy, that used to not droop.
Yep.
and just the texture, everything about me felt weird. And then my stomach changed, right? It started to get a little puffier, and I thought I just didn't feel in control anymore. I didn't know what to eat, what not to eat. Nothing worked. And I felt like my body was betraying me. And I got to be reminded through this work, through the forgiveness work especially, that my body is just, she's here just for me. And that I have a responsibility to not hate on her like we would someone else, right? And I'm calling my body a her,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and not hate on her, but really work with her. And the forgiveness piece comes in just like we would another person that we really want a relationship. I have to create a relationship with my body that works for me, whatever that is. Right?
Yeah, I like that because too, when you just said that, it kind of made me feel that separation between not in a negative way, me and my body, but it's like, this is actually it's kind of a convenient tool because I'm the one who feels betrayed. I'm the one who feels like something was done wrong to me, whether it's through my health, cancers, Alzheimer's, like whatever that list is of, just a broken leg, like whatever that list is for
Mhm.
somebody. I feel like my body's betrayed me and I'm mad at it, right?
Right?
I'm angry. I've got feelings about that. Well, this is kind of a convenient healing thing. When you said that to me, it's like, wait, both and available to the healing process, meaning, right? Like, so I can dialogue with my body. Can't I dialogue with my body? Because we're all right here. And so I feel
Absolutely.
like that might be a step that we could use into healing that relationship.
Absolutely. Dialoguing with the body. And I do want to say hi to Danielle, who's joined us, saying that it's a great conversation. Yes. Thank you, Danielle. And it is really an important conversation to have. And I really want to encourage more of these conversations because you're right, Kim. You brought in some really big hitters, right? You brought in with the cancer, you brought in, there's autoimmune, there's where, we're taught that that's our body attacking itself,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so when we look at these things, and we'll get to the dialoguing, but when we look at why me, it's another aspect of this is what got me here.
Yeah.
Instead of why me, what
Yeah.
got me here? Because most of my clients, and I've worked with women with cancer, and I've worked with women with different joint issues, and just these pains that there's no doctors can say what they're for,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And this is not about beating ourselves up. It's not saying I brought this on myself. It's just saying that our bodies keep the score, right? The book, The Bodies Keep the Score, is a fabulous book to read, by the way. If you
Love
want
that.
more, if you are noticing that you have ailments, tension, if you're in fight or flight all the time, and a lot of us may not know that, and there's ways we can figure that out together, and is where we can know what our body's doing. Our body is actually responding to some sort of stimulus. And so, whether that is environmental, because we're getting a lot of environmental toxins, we are getting stuff in our food, this all plays a part. And it's really important to stop and just really figure out what got me here to this point, whatever your issue is right now, here to this point. And that's what I got to do with my brain tumor. When I had the brain tumor,
Right.
I had what got me to this point. And it was an interesting thing. And then I was just really coached to do a thing that I'd never thought to do. And that was to love on that brain tumor, to dialogue with the brain tumor, thank it, because it's gathering all of the negative stuff. It's gathering it. Then I got to dialogue with the new cells coming in because I was going to have it removed,
Yep.
right? And so I got to do that, and I came through this surgery better by doing
Yep.
that. So we all have, I'm going to jump to the scripts for a second. This dialogue, we all have some scripts.
Yep.
And I want to address this first. Danielle is saying, I feel this because it affects personal, but also my professional, how I show up. And I adore the question, what got me here? The body is keeping track on what is going on. Yeah. It's like, what got me here? Because when we can take responsibility, instead of thinking that life is happening just to me, and I have no control over it. Well, I'm going to share that some women, the women that I've worked with, it's been breast cancer.
Right.
And in the breast cancer, they talk about how the relationships have been breaking their heart, how they've been giving so much and not being able to receive back. And I remember one in particular where she was in her third time at cancer. And she's like, Brenda, I've got to do something, right? This time, I don't know if I'm going to make it through, but man, if I don't, I want to die calmer, happier, and like I've done everything I can.
Yeah.
And she said, I have not treated my body well. But the other thing is, she said, is that I just expected so much out of relationships. I gave and gave and gave, but I expected something back, but then I couldn't receive it.
Right.
I couldn't receive it. And so she was like, so there was this push pull with her and the body, when we get into the certain, depending upon what you believe in, the spiritual aspects of our body and different ailments can be the fact of our breasts are life-giving.
Right.
It's around the heart chakra. It's about love. And so maybe we've had a broken heart.
Yeah.
Maybe we've had a lot of relationships that have really hurt us. Maybe we have been abused. And we really want to take a look at what got me here is so important to
Well,
know.
and what are your thoughts on like that brain body connection, right? Because the body is, if the body's going to be the symptom, right, for
Yeah.
lack of a better term, if the
Yes.
body's going to be the symptom, but is it, so the brain is kind of what, I'm not saying that every ailment, every illness, every disease is
Right.
caused by a bad thought.
No,
Not
no,
saying
no,
that
no,
at
no.
all. But also saying, what is that brain to body connection? I read it, I recently, literally the other day, read this study that they've now proven that anger can actually cause a heart attack or cause, disease in the body, or cause
Right.
death if taken to the level. And my brain went, well, duh, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, because I know when I'm angry, my things are engorged, like I'm stressed, there's pressure. Well, of course that makes sense. And the person my husband is who I was talking to, and he was like, well, yeah, but now there's proof. And I'm like, okay, well,
Right.
that seemed pretty logical to me before, but it's interesting, right? Because what kind of tools can we use? We feel betrayed by our body. It's had a disease. We're not happy with how it looks. We're not happy with, with what it's proving to us right now. Where can we start to maybe change that relationship and start to
Mhm.
heal that relationship?
Well, yes, thank you for asking that because it's really important to look at. Again, I'm going to repeat what got me here. So, in the sense of what led up to whatever it is that we are going through right now. And because, like for me, I lived my life in fight or flight,
Yes,
mainly freeze. My body
correct.
freezes. My digestive system goes into lockdown. In fact, it was in 2018, my whole left side just was in so much pain. The whole left side, I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything.
Wow.
Then, so what I did was I did this work. And what I did was I went through the forgiveness process of, instead of about someone else, I did it for my body. Like my body was a person. And I was able to, it's like, gosh, dang it. Why aren't you working with me? Why is there so much pain? This is the story, right? The victim story, going into that. And then the biggest thing was allowing my feelings in a safe way. All right, men and women, we're not taught to feel our feelings. And this is where the body keeps that score. This is what happens in our bodies. And neuroscience is proving that today. That's why the anger, an emotion, can
Yep.
cause the body to react. Also, there is a code, a medical code for broken heart. People will die from a broken heart.
Yeah.
They actually say that now. They put it on death certificates. And because it's powerful, the
Yes.
energy that we have is powerful. So what we want to do is be able to have that feeling, because most of us are carrying grief and sadness from a long time that we've buried because it wasn't safe to feel at the time. And so it just compounds. So if we can think of that as compounding within us, that keeps us in this frozen state or a fight state, or constantly fleeing a situation. We're not processing like our bodies are meant to process. Our bodies are meant to do that. So when we can allow the story out, write out the story, have it witnessed with someone that you trust, a coach. I'm going to put a plug in here. A coach is a really good person to do this with, because as a coach, we're non-judgmental. We are holding the space for you to be able to share the story, because we understand how important the story is. And then the feelings, and then learning how to reframe it, learning how to look at it differently. Like maybe it's working with me. Maybe I'm learning something from this, even though it's not a fun thing to go through. But what is it? Because in our own minds, we cannot figure it out ourselves. But
Right.
the other thing is dialoguing with the body. And a simple way to do that is just understand, take some time today and look at, or whenever you listen to this, look at what are the scripts you're telling yourself. I can't do blank until I lose weight. I can't do this until I'm in better shape. I can't go to a gym unless I'm in
Right.
shape. But, or I need to be, another belief that happens a lot, because I work mainly with women, is I need to be thin to be loved. I can't be loved in this body. And I remember going through menopause. I didn't want to be naked in front of my husband. I felt shame.
Mhm.
And I know I'm not alone.
Yeah.
And then another script, I would look better, younger, if I looked like this, or I weighed this, or if I didn't have this issue. And I really encourage everyone to take some time. What is your script? What is it that you're telling yourself? And then let's create a new one. Because part of the forgiveness work is around, what is the story? What are the feelings? Reframing. But the hugest thing, not just that, is how do I move forward? How do
Right.
I bring in the love that I meant to have for this beautiful body of mine? And I'm going to tell you, like we talked about, it's not easy. But
Mhm.
some of these scripts that we have can be, um, some of them, let me read a couple of them, because I wrote a couple of them down. And um, it's like, we can say, I prioritize. So a lot of us don't get sleep. I prioritize sleep and notice how my relationship with my body shifts. This is another one, because most of us starve ourselves, right? We go through so much starvation. We don't realize, remember, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if I'm starving myself with food, I'm actually starving myself with receiving, with emotional touch, with everything, because I can't starve myself in one area and not starve myself in another.
Well,
So
and I will say too, and sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
I will say that sleep, I have spent majority of my life in fight or flight, right? Like you and I have a similar experience in that. And I expect some of your clients do, and maybe people listening as well have had,
absolutely.
we have that feeling. And when we're stressed, we can't sleep. When we're anxious, we can't sleep. And
Mhm.
part of my healing journey that started several years ago was one of the first things that I began to do was to teach myself how to sleep. I didn't sleep because I was in a relationship that didn't create a safe environment. I didn't sleep because I had kids and I was worried because I had the weight of the world on my shoulders, and so I
Yes.
didn't think I could sleep. So all of those things, all none of those things went away, but my ability to handle them was significantly increased
Mhm.
when I started to teach myself how to sleep more than 4 hours a night. So
Right.
not that I wanted to hijack this, but if getting sleep is so important, and I believed, I will rephrase, I believed that sleep was a privilege, not a birthright, I guess is what you know what I mean?
No,
Like
we starve ourselves, right? We starve ourselves asleep because we are so, what my value is what I do. That's what we think. My value is what I do. I've got to be doing because of these hidden beliefs underneath. And the more that we have these unconscious beliefs playing out, the more our body is telling us. It's information about what's going on. And then it's not just either about changing our thoughts. Like you said earlier, I want to understand that, because we sometimes get to this point because there's a lot out there about the diet culture right now and
Yeah.
about nutrition.
Yep.
Sleep is number one. Even adding water, those two things right there are
Life
huge.
changing. Life
Life,
changing.
at literally life changing, because until we can get our body in somewhat of a state, we can't even really change our thought. We have to be able to just, we can love on ourselves by doing something simple. What are you depriving yourself of now? Is it lack of nutrients? Is it exercise? Is it sleep? Those three things are really important to know. And then choose one of those areas and just make a little bit of a change. Like you just shared. Thank you for that. Is like, okay, I notice. I mean, I've got friends that have been harping on sleep for so long, and we just like poo-poo it. We just like, yeah, whatever.
Well, I always thought, isn't that a luxury that you get to be concerned about your sleep? Like, that's so nice for you. And
Right.
also, there's a part of my brain that was like, oh, well, people who sleep so much are lazy. People who sleep so much aren't getting things done. They're not
Right.
motivated. And the bottom line is, when I used to live on 4 hours of sleep, I wasn't as healthy. I wasn't as clear-minded.
Mm-mm.
I wasn't as focused. I didn't show up for my kids the same way. When I get 7 hours, 8 hours of sleep every night consistently for my whole life now, I am much more present in my world.
Absolutely. And our hormones will then start to stabilize. Now, we
Yep.
do need outside help. A lot of, I mean, all of us need outside help. We need supplementation, and we need, whether it's hormone therapy, we get to, and I highly suggest consulting with a medical professional
Yeah.
for the weight, for if you've struggled with it for a long time, for help with nutrition, and even just having someone in your corner. There's a lot of great nutritional coaches out there. There's a lot of great people that can work with you on these areas. But one is just notice where you're depriving yourself, or where you feel that you have to deprive yourself, right? And then
Yep.
the second thing is, and then just know that it's not a luxury to take care of ourselves.
Right.
But
Right.
right? But because of the shame that's been put upon us, shame gets put upon us. We're not born with shame. So
Right.
shame gets put upon us. Then we learn to accept it as part of ourselves. So now we get to separate. Ooh, what is that? So we just start noticing these little things. Where am I depriving myself? And what area would I want to choose to do differently? Maybe I just want to move my body a little bit more, because we can make up, and you can choose these little, if you like affirmations or little scripts or dialogues, is like, caring for my body is an act of self-respect.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
huge, and it's something that we don't believe. So, the only way that we can believe something new is create a new habit by doing a new action. So, instead of listening to this dialogue in my head, because mine can be really vicious, mine can
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, instead of going, well, you're lazy, blah, 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 it's
Or
like you
I'm
never do
worthless,
anything.
or I don't deserve, or why does this always happen to me? And why am I the only one? It's like, you're not the only one.
Mm-mm.
You're the only one of you that's talking to
Right.
you about it. Right. And I love that I feel like we could have this dialogue for literally 4 hours.
We
We
can't.
won't. We won't. We won't
We
today.
won't.
But,
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting because we are harder on ourselves than we would ever be to our best friend. We would
Yep.
never talk to our best friend the way that we talk to ourselves.
Yep. Nope, never. And so, I really want to encourage that if you're feeling any of what we've talked about today, that you are not alone. As you've heard Kim and we've gone through some things too. And if you're struggling with your body betraying you, or trying to understand why you're having to go through the cancer, the illness, or the pain, because I too am still working with the pain, but now it's the right side of the body. And mine, I know, is because I didn't get to, because I was a caregiver for a lot of years, and until just, recently, where I was caregiver 24/7. And
Yeah.
that takes a toll on your body. So
Yeah.
life can take a toll on your body. What we've gone through these last few years can take a toll on our bodies and our psyches. To get the mind body connection together, we just have to notice first what's going on here. Let's notice what's going on in the mind. What are the scripts? What are the things you're saying? Where are you actually depriving yourself? What area? And then choose, gosh, what is one thing that you can start to change to just one? What can
Just
you do
one.
today? Like, can I drink more water? Can I I'm going to go just walk around the block, or I'm just going to step outside. You have time to do something for 5 minutes. You
Yep.
have time. And please don't say you don't, because I used to do that too. Like you just said, oh, it's a luxury to get some sleep, right? Well,
Right.
and that's kind of a victim stance in the sense of, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh, I'm so important that I can't sleep. Well,
Yes.
right?
Because I'm so busy, I got to get these done. The whole world can't revolve. Like the world literally will stop turning around if I get 8 hours of sleep. Guess
Yes.
what? Just what I want to let everybody know, I've been actively getting 8 hours of sleep for over a year now, and the world's still turning.
Oh, look at that.
I know. Not
I
quite what I
know.
thought.
Way to go.
I mean, I'm
Yes.
teasing, but we really get that internal dialogue that starts to beat us up so dramatically and drastically that we believe what we're telling ourselves.
We do. And it's understanding. That's why when we start creating that awareness, what's going on in our brain, what are the things that are running the show? Because our life is showing us where we can make the changes.
Yeah.
Whether, because and where we're doing the good stuff, because maybe somebody is drinking water and exercising, but they're not getting the sleep, or they're
Right.
not appreciating their body. I would say today, change one thing. What is the one thing you want to change, in what area? But the other thing is take a little time and love on your body. Just do this. Just hold your hand on your heart and just say thank you. I'm
Yes.
so grateful for you.
Yeah.
Just try that, cuz that's going to be hard enough, trust me. I've had to do that. Or look in the mirror and say thank you, body. Just something like that. Even that can be a test.
Well, and I'll ask this and then I'll let us go because I know that we could go for 4 days. So do you think that like if you start with one thing, like let's say the focus is I'm going to just drink more water today, and then maybe tomorrow I continue
Mm,
drinking more water, and then maybe the next day I'm
right.
continuing to drink more water. But do you feel like starting with one thing then kind of opens up the possibility to add other things that then start to create that process of healing the relationship with your body?
Absolutely. And I would encourage to go slow, which is so hard to do because we both know this. But yes, each
Yeah.
day, because what you're doing is you're rewarding your brain is the reward center. Remember, our brain likes celebration and reward because that's the dopamine hit. When we get those dopamine hits, right, we're gonna
Yeah.
carry on and do more things. So if I'm drinking water and I'm noticing, ooh, I'm not tired, I have more energy, I don't need that extra coffee or energy
Or I'm
drink.
peeing or I'm peeing more, which makes me get up from my chair more often and get
Yes,
more steps in the
and
day.
get
I
more
mean,
steps in. Yes, and then the more you do that, the more you're naturally gonna go, "Ooh, well, yeah, we can walk a little for I can walk past the bathroom, right? I can actually maybe go to the outside, right?" And it'll actually so each day you do this. So give yourself several days on this new habit and just watch and see what you naturally wanna do, because that's what it did for me, adding more water, and it can be a challenge sometimes, but adding more water, it's just a game changer, along with setting a bedtime, setting
Right.
setting a sleep schedule like you're doing. So
Well, and
if
I
you
think these are really good tools. And, is drinking water going to cure a brain tumor? Is drinking more water going to cure cancer? I mean, I don't know the answer to that, but what I
right,
do know is that it can't hurt. And
right.
it creates the beginning of a process. And especially then in working with a professional, a coach, Brenda, from there, you can start to, if you start to do those smaller things for yourself, then you as a coach, because now you've opened up the mind, right? We've opened up the mind to being willing to look at things a little bit differently. So now you can go into the deep stuff and start getting that work to come out.
Right. Right, yes, because and thank you for saying that, because it's not about a cure, but it's about adding to yourself. It's a loving act so that we can learn to look at what's going on in our bodies differently. And then we can be willing to go, how did I get here? I can't jump to how did I get here when I'm so upset and angry and grieving and sad. I can't do that. I
And
have to
being mean and being mean to
be
our
mean.
bodies.
And I
Yeah.
have to create the space, and the way I do that is just by one little action a little bit differently, one little loving act that doesn't seem loving, but it is. And then we can then look at the story. We can look at what got you here, because I really encourage you to work with a coach, to work with a professional if that's what you want to do, on getting some guidance, having someone in your corner to help you see the things that you're not able to see. That's what helped me. I think every coach needs a coach too. And it helped me to see where that pattern was. What got me here? What keeps me in fight or flight? What is it that I needed to heal? And I am just really happy to work with you. If that's what you would like, please comment below, send me a DM. You can also send an email if you'd like. But we'll have the link to schedule a consultation if that's what you would like, to have someone in your corner as you take a look at forgiving your body and forgiving, just not even that, just being loving your body. Really, just really about loving your body, which really means you're loving yourself. So, Kim, thank you so much for
My
this
pleasure. I'm thankful.
conversation.
Yeah, and I'm thankful to your audience that is there where they're really starting to put in some really great questions. So I hope they keep doing that because it's really fun to
Yeah.
talk about it.
And I encourage that too. Please let us know, because these conversations I want more of. I want more of, like, talking about what those hidden things are, those things that cause us some shame and feeling guilt. I want to bring those out in the open so that we can talk more together, because this is how we heal. We heal together. So thank you and have a beautiful day.